My world crumbled the day my husband David took his last breath in my arms. I remember the sterile hospital lights, the faint beep of the monitor slowing to nothing, and his weak smile as he whispered, "You were always enough for me." 22 years of marriage, 22 years of building a life together, and in one quiet moment it was gone. We had been high school sweethearts who grew up side by side, turned our small savings into something beautiful. That villa on the hill, our villa, with its wide veranda where we watched sunsets and the rose garden I planted with my own hands. Every brick, every flower, every late-night conversation in the library held our love story. We never had children, but we had each other, and that felt like a whole family. David used to say, "This house isn't just walls, love, it's our forever." I believed him. The funeral was a blur of black clothes and murmured condolences. His brother Tom and sister Lisa hugged me a little too tightly, their eyes dry while mine were swollen with tears. "We're here for you," Lisa said, but her voice carried something sharp underneath the softness. I was too broken to notice. I went home alone that night, curled up on our bed that still smelled like him, and cried until there were no tears left. But what I didn't know that day, what I could never have imagined, was that the real betrayal was waiting just beyond the morning light. The very next day, while I was still wearing the same black dress, the doorbell rang. Tom and Lisa stood there with a lawyer in a crisp suit. Their faces had changed. The sympathy was gone. Tom cleared his throat and spoke like he was reading from a script. "We're sorry for your loss, but we need to settle the property. The villa belongs to the Blood family now. David didn't leave a will. As his only brother and sister, it passes to us. You have 30 days to vacate." I stared at them, heart hammering so hard I thought it would crack my ribs. "This is our home," I whispered. "I helped pay for the land. I chose every tile. I planted every rose." Lisa looked at me with something close to pity. "Blood is blood," she said softly. "You were his wife, but the house has always been family property in our eyes. It's time to move on." They left me standing in the doorway, shaking, the papers trembling in my hands. In that moment, everything I thought I knew about love and family shattered. The man who promised to protect me forever was gone, and the people he called his own had already decided I was never part of them. I sank to the floor, pressing my face into the cold marble, and whispered the only words I had left. "What am I supposed to do now?"
The next 30 days became a nightmare I still can't wake up from. I tried everything. I showed them bank statements proving I had poured my entire inheritance from my parents into the down payment. I begged them to remember how David and I had worked weekends painting walls and laying floors together while they were busy with their own lives. Tom just shrugged and said, "Legal is legal." Lisa stopped answering my calls. Friends told me to fight, to hire a lawyer, to scream from the rooftops, but grief had wrapped around me like chains. Every room in that house echoed with David's laugh. Every corner held a memory I couldn't bear to lose. I spent nights walking from room to room, touching the books he loved, the chair where he used to read to me, crying until my eyes burned. I felt so small, so replaceable. The woman who had given this man 22 years of her life was suddenly nothing more than an inconvenience to his blood family. They started moving things out while I was still there, packing David's tools, taking the paintings we bought on our honeymoon. I watched them carry out the antique clock we restored together and felt something inside me break beyond repair. One evening, I found Lisa in the garden, pulling up my roses like they were weeds. When I asked her to stop, she looked at me with cold eyes and said, "These belong to the family now. You can take your clothes and whatever personal items you want, but the rest stays." I couldn't breathe. I locked myself in the bathroom and sobbed so hard I thought my chest would split open. In the mirror, I saw a woman I barely recognized. Hollow cheeks, red eyes, completely destroyed. How could the people David trusted most turn into strangers who treated me like I had never existed? The day I had to leave was the worst. I packed 2 suitcases and a small box of our wedding photos. Tom stood at the door like a guard, watching me walk out for the last time. As I stepped onto the driveway, I turned back once. The villa looked the same, warm lights glowing, roses still blooming, but it wasn't mine anymore. It had been taken by the very hands that should have held me up. I moved into a tiny rented apartment across town. The walls were thin, the nights were long, and the silence screamed. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. Friends brought food I couldn't taste. I kept replaying every happy memory, wondering if David had known his family would do this, wondering if I had been blind to their greed all along. I was drowning in betrayal. Until one rainy midnight, while I was packing away the last of David's things I had managed to keep, my fingers brushed against a thick envelope taped to the bottom of his old desk drawer. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a notarized document dated 14 months earlier, a quiet property transfer. The villa had been signed over to me alone. David had done it in secret after his first heart scare, without telling a soul. There was also a small USB drive. I plugged it in with tears blurring the screen. David's face appeared. He looked tired but determined. "My love, if you're watching this, I'm gone. I know my brother and sister. Their hearts have always been bigger for money than for family. I made sure this house is yours, legally, completely yours. They will try to take it. Don't let them. You gave me the best years of my life. Now live the rest in the home we built together. I love you. Always." In that moment, the pain didn't vanish, but something else woke up inside me. A quiet, burning strength I thought grief had killed. They had thrown me out of my own house. They had broken my heart. But David had protected me even from beyond the grave. I sat there in the dark, clutching the papers to my chest, and whispered, "They have no idea what's coming."